at the forefront of politics.
Our enemy is Trump. He is the enemy. We gotta unite. If we're not a united party, we lose to Trump.
On the front lines of activism.
There's certain fights, if we don't engage, they win. This is a fundamental question of who we are.
And delivering your daily dose of comedy.
Donald Trump, when he had his physical, they had his blood pressure, and mine is higher than his. Oh. And the irony is mine is higher because of him.
From the blue wave.
We flipped. Enough seats to take control of the House. We control the House.
To 2020 and beyond. This is the Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to the show, brothers and sisters. Monday, December 16th. I'm Dean Obeidallah, as always, hoping to be your MBFF. I hope you had a good weekend. Hope you had some fun, if that's possible, in these stressful times of politics, and maybe unplugged for a little bit or plugged just a little bit in. But we're back. A lot of stuff to cover. Over the weekend, I tried to unplug. Impossible. I was on Joy Reid's show yesterday on MSNBC. Really enjoyed being on. I was on with two other people who were on last week. I was on with Jill Wine-Banks and Glenn Kirshner on the same panel, and my friend Karine Jean-Pierre, and really enjoyed being on there. In fact, Karine will be on the show tomorrow night here. So a lot to cover, of course. Just quick weekly reminder. Despite Trump's lies, the Trump administration right now is in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals trying to end you and your family's coverage for pre-existing medical conditions. Trying to fight to have insurance companies be able to charge women more than men for the exact same policies, and fighting to allow insurance companies to be able to drop you if you get sick and not renew your policy. What do I mean? Well, I think you know by now, Donald Trump administration, while lying to his base and the American people, is actually his DOJ in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals arguing to end the entire ACA. And they're arguing, just so it's very clear, there's no games here. They are arguing to court to end every single aspect of the ACA. So it's not like they're in court going, hey, we want to get rid of this part, but we think the part that protects pre-existing conditions should stand. No. They are arguing everything ends. So he can lie all he wants. This will impact your health, your family's health. Doesn't matter who you support in the presidency. It will hurt you. Just so you know. And Trump lies and says, well, the Republicans have the House. We'll have a great new health care plan. You had the House for 2 years. You did nothing but try to destroy this. So tomorrow, December 17th, hundreds of thousands of people expected to rally around the country, taking to the streets in the Nobody is Above the Law demonstration. And I think you know who the nobody is. That's Donald J. Trump. It's co-sponsored by numerous organizations, from the Women's March to the American Way, Center for American Progress, Tom Steyer's organization, Indivisible. They're all there. It's all over the country. If you're interested in going, and if you do go, give us a call while you're there live. It's starting 6:30 p.m. Eastern time here in the East, but all over the country. I think it lines up 6:30 your time. But here's the website for all the information where you can sign up, find out exactly in your neighborhood, in your neck of the woods, where it's going to happen. If you want to go to impeach.org. That's impeach, IMPEACH.org. Sign up. Bring your friends, bring your family, take pictures, share it on social media. Show America that we're not going to allow a man like Donald Trump to destroy this nation, our Constitution, what we're about. It's interesting. I was on Sunday, yesterday, on Joy's show, and we talked about Trump joking, and Fox News over the weekend joking about Trump wanting to be president for life. Folks, that's not joking. That's called priming. That's priming. That's a psychological term. What he's doing is priming his base to be ready when he calls on them, so they're on board when he says, we're going to ignore the 22nd Amendment of the Constitution, which does not allow you to be president for more than 8 years, 2 terms. That's what he's doing. So it's no game here. So something happened. Every Sunday I write for CNN, and sometimes I get hate mail, and sometimes I don't. I wrote an article for CNN, and I will share the premise of the article because what I wanted to talk about today. I never, ever got more angry emails from Trump supporters ever for any article I've ever written. And it's kind of odd. I did not attack Trump supporters in any way. So it's not like, well, you went after them and they came back. No, that's not it at all. I talked about Trump. And I'm going to share it because it's part of a bigger picture and a cautionary tale of what's happening and the ratcheting up of desperation of some, not all, but some Trump supporters to the point of alarming levels and on the edge of violence. And Let me just share, and also share what happened to Congressman Adam Schiff over the weekend and Congresswoman Elisa Slotkin, a Democrat from Michigan, to give you an idea of what's going on underneath the surface. My article, simply put, the headline is Trump is just 67 votes away from being an ex-president, and it's freaking him out. Apparently, it's freaking his base out as well, but I didn't talk about his base. I just talked about Trump. And what do I mean? And while it's a long shot, let me break it down for you. Look, in 2016, Hillary Clinton got nearly 66 million votes. And thanks to the Electoral College and the help of Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump is president. But interestingly, 0.001% of the votes that Hillary got is enough to end the Trump presidency. Because, as we all know, the Constitution says the Senate trial after Trump is impeached, if 2/3 of the senators vote to convict, he's gone. That's 67 senators right now. If 67 senators come on board, it's bye-bye Trump. It's over immediately. It's done. I don't know how we get him out. Maybe give him like 3 days notice. He can clean up, him and Melania, and get the place ready. They're going to lose their security deposit because they're never going to make it that clean. And in reality, it's not even 67. Think about this for a second. And we'll get into the reality, but think about this for a second. It's really 20 senators that control Donald Trump's fate. Because right now in the Senate, there's 45 Democrats and 2 independents who caucus with the Democrats. So essentially, there are 47 Democrats. That means you only need 20 more. That's it, 20 more Republicans to join the Democrats. Bye-bye Trump. And while it is a long shot, I get it, to get 20 Republicans on board, especially with Mitch McConnell telling us the system is rigged and Lindsey Graham saying it's rigged. A couple of things. First of all, as a former trial attorney who tried cases with juries, I can assure you this. Juries don't always do what you expect. I've seen that firsthand. And yes, this is a unique jury. It's not like a normal jury. But still, people get to a jury setting and sometimes things change. Secondly, and this is probably more potentially damning for Trump, what if new evidence comes up between now and the trial? What if new evidence, like Chuck Schumer wants John Bolton to testify at the trial and Mick Mulvaney, what if they testify, especially John Bolton, and it is so incriminating of Donald Trump and all the elements of crimes are fulfilled in front of Republicans? All you need are 20. And I don't care if you're the most secure person in the world as president. Thinking that your presidency could end by simply 20 Republicans or 67 altogether, it's got to be unnerving. And look, we've called Donald Trump countless words. Secure is not one of them. So this is part of why Trump is freaking out. This is a guy, is there anyone have any doubt in their mind that Trump in the last few weeks, especially the last few days, in his head is calculating all the Republicans in the Senate he's pissed off and going, there can't be 20. I mean, Mitt Romney, yes, and Lisa Murkowski from Alaska doesn't like him, and Susan Collins has got concerns, and Cory Gardner. And he's got to be going through the numbers. He's probably got a war room with the pictures of senators and going, well, okay, I could lose 4 or 5. But think about that. Say he's lost 4 or 5. That means he's sitting there going, if I lose 15 more, I'm done. It's over. This ends. And what's got to be concerning to Trump are people like Jeff Flake, who's not a senator anymore, but a few weeks ago, Jeff Flake said, and this is his words, he says there are, quote, at least 35 Republican senators who would vote to remove Trump if ballots were kept secret. 35. Because maybe for them, they've had enough of this guy and his antics. They want to get rid of it. Just a couple of weeks ago, Chris Murphy, who's a Democrat, was on Morning Joe and made it very clear. He knows at least 5 Republicans who he believes right now are ready to vote against Donald Trump and convict him. So again, that's bringing down to 15 people. And if you doubt Trump is in full panic mode, look what we've seen in the last week. On Thursday, just a few days ago, Donald Trump tweeted the most tweets in the history of his presidency, 123 tweet barrage. So many were about impeachment and the Congress people are lying. And that was during the House Judiciary Committee hearing when they ultimately voted the next day to approve the 2 articles of impeachment. 123 tweets. You want to know the record before that? 105 just a few days before on Sunday when he was again freaking out about impeachment and attacking the system And on Friday, when the 2 articles of impeachment were actually approved by Congress, he wasn't the defiant kind of guy. Listen to this tweet. To me, it shows you how panicky he is, how he's freaking out. He tweeted, "It's not fair that I'm being impeached when I've done absolutely nothing wrong." He's upset. And look, even Bill Clinton, who's a secure guy, maybe too secure, which caused some of his own problems, during his impeachment was not confident. He was fearful. And I'll show you a contrast. Bill Clinton, the day the House voted to impeach him, made a statement. He didn't go, "This is unfair," or "This is a witch hunt." He didn't slam the Republicans. He stated, "What I want the American people to know, what I want the Congress to know, is that I am profoundly sorry for all I have done wrong in words and deeds." Those are the words of Bill Clinton. He was worried that when it got to a jury, that somehow, somewhere, enough Democrats would join Republicans and his presidency could end. And think about this. Bill Clinton, when his trial, he had a over 60% approval rating. In fact, the day he was impeached, his approval rating jumped, and this is stunning, to 73%. 73%, because Americans saw it as simply, truly a political partisan attempt to change our government over a man having an affair and lying about it. He was not using his office. He wasn't using his official actions. He wasn't abusing his power. He was lying about having an affair. And people thought, look, it's wrong, because over 60 to 70% of Americans, different polls, thought Bill Clinton had lied under oath. But still, only 40% thought he should be removed from that. So think about that. There's Bill Clinton apologizing to the country and to Congress, saying, "I'm sorry for I'm profoundly sorry." Trump, on the other hand, lashing out at everyone. And look at Trump's approval rating. As of yesterday, per 538, I always use 538 because it's good averages. Forget one poll, folks. That does nothing. You can always find one poll that makes you feel good or bad. But when you look at 538, the average poll shows that Donald Trump has a 42% approval rating. You want to give you a little history here? Compared to every other president this many days into office, Donald Trump, want to know where he stands in terms of his approval rating compared to all modern day presidents? He has the lowest. He is lower now than Jimmy Carter and George Herbert Walker Bush, and both lost re-election. Yeah, it's different times, but this, where he is with his approval rating, is horrific. And the reality, it hasn't really moved much since he got in office. He started at 46% for a day, but his average is 42, 43%, down to 40, down to 39 for this entire presidency. But Trump is panicking. And let's be blunt, I would be too. I mean, if I was, because think about it this way, folks. Mitch McConnell could tell you there's no chance you're going to be removed, all that stuff. But Trump knows he's been a jackass to so many Republicans. He's been mean-spirited in private that we don't even know about, where you hear reported this, reported that. If it was a secret ballot, I think they would get rid of him and just move on, turn a page on Trump, and no one knows who did it. And all the Republicans come out and go, "I didn't do that." But because it's not a secret ballot, they might not. But still, he's got to be concerned, because not only do you lose the presidency, not only are you gone and there's no appeal, you're in every school textbook from now on. Kids in school, first grade or second grade, they learn about the American history government system. First president, George Washington. First president ever removed by Congress in the history of the Republic, Donald J. Trump. That's got to make you sweat. I think that's partly why Richard Nixon resigned, because he didn't want to have that place, that infamous place in history. So I write this article. It did well for CNN. I was happy the editor said, it did really well. But what it resulted in is an onslaught, a tsunami of angry emails beginning last night when it got published, all the way until I just left my apartment to come here. And I'm going to read some of them because it's giving you a sense of what's going on here. And I'm talking a lot of emails. Some people, numerous emails to me, angry at me. And some would respond like this. One guy responded like this, that I said Trump is 67 votes away from being next president. They responded, Trump is 300 days away from being reelected, and it's freaking you out. That's fine. That's a normal discussion. I love when people email me about my articles and disagree or agree, whatever. I respect your opinion. That's fine. It's the other ones that were on the spectrum of alarming. And I'll read some. Some involve cursing, as you might imagine, because they are Trump supporters. Here's a few. Again, I apologize for the cursing, but if I don't curse, you're not going to know what's going on. Steve Partfuso tweeted, "You are an evil piece of shit." That's me. I responded, "I know." Sometimes I respond just for fun. Franklin Strum, I don't know if this is their real names, but this is their emails. He wrote, "I think it's kind of funny some socialist piece of shit like you are trying to psych out people. No one even knows who the hell you are aside from a CNN analyst." A guy named George Gunn sent me countless emails with photos of bin Laden and other terrorists because I'm Muslim and that's how smart they are, you know. And then people like Brian Neal tweeted, 67 votes? You are an effing, I won't use the F word, moron. Yeah, I'm 100% sure he isn't panicking. To think someone published your shit, unbelievable. So that was a lot of the anger. Then it got even worse with someone flagged it to me that there's a website called Reddit where you can post anything and people can comment. Someone said, "Hey, you should look at what's going on there." And I, you know, I've been to Reddit. I even have an account on Reddit. It's generally kind of normal, sometimes angry. The level of Trump supporting vileness on this was off the charts. Many of Trump supporters apparently thought I was Jewish, so there was vile anti-Semitic comments. There was others of pictures of dead people or dead black people they posted pictures of and used the N-word and said this is what's coming if they try to get rid of Trump. Over and over you saw that. So very racist, very anti-Semitic garbage. They're alarming stuff. And, you know, they didn't send it to me personally, so it wasn't death threats at me, but clearly they are sharing with others their desire to commit violence against those who would stand up or say Trump's presidency, their white supremacist savior, is ending. You know, it would be so easy to be a conservative here and do what they do. What they do on the right is define every minority by their worst example and then say that's what they're all about. So it would be so easy for me to say, this is what Trumpers are about. They use the N-word, they're racist, they're anti-Semites, they're vile and want violence. I won't do that. I'm still going to be responsible. But some do. What would be nice if some Trump supporters would speak out and denounce that kind of garbage, but they don't and they're silent. So there's a level of complicity in the Trump world because they know what's going on. They know the white supremacists love Donald Trump and they're silent. So on some level now, 3 years in, I can say it's fair that they're not troubled by white supremacy. I'm not going to say they are a white supremacist. That would be unfair. But it's not just me, because this is not about me. I write articles, people send angry emails. It's the real world stuff that's more concerning. Over the weekend, Elisa Slotkin, a congresswoman from Michigan, she's in her first term, former CIA agent, had a town hall in Michigan. It was written about in New York Times today. And really good turnout, several hundred people. But a little over 24 Trump supporters came there. And they have every right to be there. They have every right to ask tough questions. You can have signs. But they took it further. They were screaming and yelling, impeach Slotkin, calling her CIA hack, deep state, all that kind of garbage. The woman served in the CIA. She served our nation. And when she tried to explain why she supported impeachment, the Trump supporters, according to the New York Times, got angrier and angrier and screaming and yelling. See, to them, they don't want to hear the truth. That's why they like Fox News. And if you tell them the facts, they can't defend it. So if they can't do a whataboutism, they'll just start screaming. That's what it says here. They became angry, and it escalated. And then I have some audio. Adam Schiff had a town hall, who was one of Donald Trump's biggest targets now. Adam Schiff had a town hall in California and packed town hall. Trump supporters have every right to be there. This is you're an elected official. What you don't have a right to do is threaten people, punch people, scream at people, and say the member of Congress should be hung for treason. Now, you can do all that, but you're going to get arrested if you do anything physical, if you're going to yell stuff out. It says something about who you are. So here's a little of Adam Schiff at the town hall. I know you can't see, but I want to play two different clips. Here's one. You can hear Adam Schiff, and then you can hear the screams and yelling building. Clip number 1, please, Nina.
Is that this shouldn't be a partisan issue. The facts of history are the facts of history. They will not be denied. They will not be denied. And so I'm grateful.
You should go to fucking jail. You will be going to jail for treason. And it began to become a physical altercation there with the Trump supporters. That's Trump's base. You know, I've pushed back against everyone who says we're going to have a civil war, and I continue to. A civil war would take military action, a lot of people and tanks and airplanes, and you need other countries to recognize things. That's not going to happen. We are definitely going to have violence in 2020 around the presidential election. And that's not just because of Trump. Since 1992, as the FBI has documented, every presidential election year, there has been violence that ties to politics and usually hate crimes towards minorities. But in the time of Trump, it has escalated and spiked to record numbers. So going into 2020, my friends, we are not going to have a civil war. That would be irresponsible. I honestly don't see it. If at some point I think we're going to, I have no problem saying that. I just don't see that. I do see this anger building. I see that escalating a desperation level from the emails to yelling at Slotkin's one thing, yelling at Adam Schiff, treason, and they're mimicking Donald Trump's words and then saying, hang him, kill him, and pushing people. They're going to do more of that. This is not the end. This is the beginning of the 2020 cycle. You can expect more of people like the Proud Boys, the white supremacist group who has promised to protect Trump supporters at rallies, meaning they're going to beat up hecklers. We've seen, and this is all documented, in 2016, every county Trump had a rally, there was a spike in hate crimes. In that county, it's not a coincidence, shortly before or shortly after the Trump rally. We're going to see violence in 2020. I don't know how bad it's going to get. I'm hoping it's a few bad people. That's it. There's nothing we can do. History says we are going to have a spike in hate crimes and violence around this election. I fear it's going to be targeting anyone who's not a Trump supporter, but especially people who are black and brown. That'll be the biggest targets right off the bat. And then Jewish, Muslim, if they can tell what you are. And the LGBT community. And that's all backed up by what spike we've seen in hate crimes since 2015, 16, 17. Property hate crimes went down last year, but personal hate crimes went up. Violence against individuals went up. This is where we are. I'm being as responsible as possible. There's not going to be a civil war, and I do not say all Trump supporters are like those people that came there. I am being more fair to them than they are to me and my community. Because they'll say, oh, Muslims are terrorists. They'll try to define me and every Muslim by the worst. They'll do that to every minority community. I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to say there's a subset of that Trump base which is alarming, which is dangerous. And I say it not to scare you. I say that to prepare you, to be ready for that. And if you're one of those Trump supporters who don't like violence and you happen to go to a Trump rally or you go to a Democratic event just to speak your mind like a good American, you might get sucked up to this violence as well. So you should be prepared as well, because I don't think people listen to SiriusXM, and I'm being sincere when I say this. I don't think you're the kind of people who are going to go to an event and commit violence. I honestly don't. But some will. And this is what we're going into, and it's going to be a scary cycle. Look, will Trump get removed? I very unlikely. But just the specter of that, in my article, quantifying it down to 67 votes, resulted in a deluge of angry. And again, if I got that every article, I'd say big deal. No, this was way off the charts, and it doesn't scare me. I had neo-Nazis who wanted to kill me, so this means nothing. And the comments on Reddit were alarming. They weren't directed at me. They didn't send them to me. But clearly, if you saw the use of the N-word and the anti-Semitic stuff and invoking death and killing people, you'd be alarmed too. I hope they're just cowards who write stuff on Reddit and don't come out in the real world. I'm not sure. But what we saw at Adam Schiff, it wouldn't take much more for someone who doesn't like Trump just to push back a little harder. I mean, physically. And then the Trump supporters feel like they have full license, start punching. And then other people start punching. And before you know it, you have people beaten up, hurt, or even killed. And that's where we're going. This is it. There's no doubt that's where we're heading. I hope it's pockets of violence. You know, there was a video last week of a guy who liked Trump who said, if they remove Trump, my .358 Magnum is going to have something to say about it. And that went viral. That's one guy. He looked a little bit, I don't know him personally. I'm not going to say that he's definitely mentally ill, but something was wrong with him. But I will tell you this. There's a comment in the lawyer brief for Cesar Sayoc. Cesar Sayoc was the MAGA bomber. And Cesar Sayoc clearly had a history of problems in his life. Some mental, not to the point of being institutionalized, but some troubles and some problems in his life. And his lawyer wrote this in the brief when trying to get essentially mercy for his client when he was being sentenced for sending these bombs to people. He talked all about Cesar Sayoc, his client's problems, his struggles, his mental issues, being homeless, living in a van, and all that. And then he said, in this darkness, he found light in Donald J. Trump. And I will always remember that. In this darkness, he found light in Donald J. Trump. And it showed a man who was troubled, who had lost his way, who found light in Donald J. Trump. The same way that those who join ISIS often, or Al-Qaeda, or other terrorist groups, or gangs, same thing. They've lost their way, and they find some idea of self-worth in these other groups. And for someone like the MAGA bomber and others who have committed acts in the name of Donald Trump, or at least radicalized, in my view, by Donald Trump, and I think that's fair to say he has radicalized some people, not the way an ISIS recruiter does it, which is much more specific, but in general, he's created an atmosphere. This is where we are. Donald Trump, we are not speculating. In 2016, he called for violence at his rallies. I don't want to play the clips. You've heard them all. You know, in the old days, that guy would not be able to walk out of here. If anyone wants to throw a tomato, I'm going to punch him in the face. I'll pay your legal fees. Over and over and over. You think he's going to tone it down in 2020 when the latest polls today, the Fox News poll, which Trump hates, Trump is losing to Joe Biden by 7 points. I'm not saying Biden will be the nominee, but that's what he's focused on. If he is losing by the summer, he will say and do anything at rallies, things we have never seen before in modern day U.S. politics. We have no idea where we're going as a nation. And again, I keep saying, I don't say this to scare you. I say this to prepare you, because don't be stunned. Be ready for this. Be ready. And the way to do that is to stand up for each other's communities. When he comes after one of our communities during the 2020 election, which he will, we all have to be united and stand up for that community, and vice versa. And if you're in a community that's being attacked, we'll be there for you, and that's how it's got to work. That's one thing. I'm not advocating going to buy guns or stuff like that. This is just be smart. If you go to if you're not to a Trump rally, if you go to your own rallies and you know Trump supporters are going to be there, avoid violence. Understand they could be violent. They might not be. They might just be yelling. But what we saw with Adam Schiff and at Trump rallies, violence is on the menu, so to speak. So I'd love to hear what you think. You know, you're my guest right at the top of the hour. We have two great guests today. We have Elie Mystal coming on in the 7 o'clock hour and Jamira Burley in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll talk about everything from impeachment to President Obama saying that women are far better than men and they should rule the country, and a lot more. So we'll have some lighter and some serious stuff going on over the next couple of hours. I'd love to hear what you think about this. You know, I honestly, if you say we're going to civil war, you're going to have to convince me, because I just don't see that. Violence, yes, we're going to have violence. There's no doubt we're going to have violence. Prepare. 866-997-4748. Be right back. I'd love to hear from you right here on the Dean Obeidallah Show.
Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress 127.